Hello guys, and welcome back to Pokemon FanArt. Now today we have an extra special long episode. The reason for this is that this series is going to be stopping for a short while, mainly because I have to cut down on the amount of videos I upload, and Pokemon FanArt just needs to take a step into the background, but I will be starting it up again after the X and Y hype has sort of died down a bit and I can go back to another schedule. Anyway, let's get going. Today we're looking at Pokemon associated with the Chinese Zodiac. First off, we're starting with the Aries Zodiac, and we have Lamburn. It's a fire type and is the goat Pokemon. This Pokemon is stubborn and competitive, often fighting with other Lamburn for no apparent reason. Their fiery coloured fur stores heat and keeps their bodies at an average temperature of 300 degrees. So the design for Lamburn looks pretty cool, you know, it's got a kind of black face which is sort of blending in with the body well. It's got purple hooves, not sure where they come from, but they look cool anyway. Let's move on. We have Carnaries. It's a fire psychic type, it's the Aries Pokemon, and says, this Pokemon has grown wise and calm with the years, unlike his previous form. Using strong psychic powers which come from the sphere it holds in its horn, this Pokemon can manipulate the fire that it produces, displaying all kinds of dangerous and yet magnificent attacks. Now it doesn't say anything about evolution here, so we can simply assume it's upon level up, or associating the orb with it could be when you give it an orb. Or a psychic sort of item, I'm not sure exactly, but that could be a possibility. Just because there's nothing said anywhere, so I wouldn't really know. Next up we are looking at the Taurus line. We have Greekar first. It's a ground electric type and the white ball Pokemon. There is no description here yet from the creator, so unfortunately I can't read you that. But it does look pretty cool. It's got the little horns on its head which look awesome. Electric stripes down its body. It's white, which kind of blends well with the yellow and doesn't like hint at ground too much, sort of thing. Like if it were yellow and brown, that wouldn't go too well, I don't think. So yeah, they look pretty cool. And then we have Spartoro. It's a ground electric type also, and the Taurus Pokemon. The description reads, in ancient times this Pokemon was considered a gift from the gods, so people used to adore and treat it as a sacred being. Well, I can see you can see why. It looks awesome. It's some sort of like statue sort of thing. The horns look amazing, and also the spikes on its back look awesome too. And its sort of feet and its sort of like armor pads, I suppose you could say, on its front feet look pretty damn badass. So I think we're gonna have to say that one's pretty cool. Let's move on. Next up we have the Gemini line sort of thing. First up we have Geminas. It's a light electric type and the positive Pokemon. The description reads, this Pokemon has a calm and gentle nature. It can produce electric waves using the plug on its left hand. When it plugs in with Geminis, its power increases. And then we can look at Geminis. Geminis is a dark electric type actually, the negative Pokemon, and this Pokemon is aggressive and stubborn. It can fire electric rays from the socket in its right hand. When it plugs in with Geminis, its power increases. So they look pretty cool. Obviously not evolution, is just sort of like equals, I guess you could say. But it does look awesome how you can like plug them in, sort of like Plusle and Minun, but you can't actually see anything on Plusle and Minun where they would combine. So you know, that looks pretty cool. I'd like to see that used in a double battle, see how that would go. Based on angels and demons of some sort, probably robots too, since they have sort of the plugs and stuff. Moving on. Now we have the Cancer line, which I'm a part of, actually. I'm a Cancer. First we have Sparkrab. It's a water electric type, and the River Crab Pokemon. No description here, sorry. Sparkrab looks pretty cool. Sort of like because it's a water electric type, it's got the wires you'd see in like laboratories and stuff to connect your stuff up in school and college and that. And obviously it looks like a sort of a crab or a shrimp. And then we have its evolution is Cranodicer, and is the water electric type also, and the Cancer Pokemon. So again, you can see it's got a nice bigger sort of like electric a crab clip, I think they call it. Is it crab clip they call it? That would make a lot of sense. And on the left hand seems to have some sort of plug or socket, it would seem. So obviously referencing the water electric type there again. And also it looks like much more like a shrimp in this form rather than a crab. Actually, it looks like a lobster too. Anyway, let's move on. Next up we have the Leo line. We have three here actually, starting off with Baliome, a fire electric type, the Burn Pokemon. This Pokemon lives in small families. When a predator is near, they can fill the air with sparks and blazes to scare the intruder. Its fur is an incredible thermoelectric conductor. Now this design looks awesome. Good mix of red, yellow and orange there. Nice markings on its kind of leg side and underside. And its face as well looks pretty cool. Its tail is, I don't know really what's happening with its tail. It seems to be like a what's it sort of thing. Apart from that, I have no qualms with it. Moving on. Then we have its evolution, Zeliome. It's a fire electric type, the Blast Pokemon. This Pokemon is known for its bravery as they tend to hunt predators way bigger than themselves. It uses a powerful combination of fire and electric attacks to defeat its enemies. Now this is sort of the line I've been wanting for ages, a fire electric type. And I must say they are definitely living up to what I would expect from a fire electric type. It's got a nice sort of design again. Its mane looks awesome, it's sort of like the markings on its face as well, and its sort of hair looks pretty cool as well, so I assume it's going to get better when we look at the last Pokemon from this line, which is Amperiome, also a fire electric type, and the Leo Pokemon. Its mane is always charged with electricity, and its insides are filled with extremely hot flames. When this Pokemon roars, the temperature rises, and near objects get charged. Wow, this looks awesome. It's sort of like a huge mane. Sort of standing up and stuff. It's got hairs hanging down on its chest, which I can assume must be charged with electricity as well. And again, the markings on its body continue, and its tail is now a nice, like red-yellow mix, which looks cool. If we move on now to look at the Virgo line, starting off with Alabastian. It's a ground psychic type, and the Doll Pokemon. Some say this Pokemon was born a doll, but became alive due to strong psychic energies. This Pokemon likes to play with kids. This Pokemon also doesn't have any hands or feet, but it can manipulate its environments using very strong psychic powers. So similar to the story of Boltoy, I guess. I think that was also a doll or something like that. But it does look cool. Very different to Boltoy, obviously. No arms sort of thing. No, just Boltoy really, but... And its sort of hair looks cool as well. Then its evolution is Sylvanite, the ground psychic type also. The Virgo Pokemon, and some legends say this Pokemon was made by human hands as a representation of beauty, but it was never finished. This Pokemon moves through the air by levitation using their strong telekinetic powers. Again, this is looking awesome. The eyes seem to be more evil now, sort of thing. Kind of referencing how the people didn't finish building it, so that could make it angry, I suppose. And it's to have, again, no arms or feet, just a sort of orb, which you can assume is like a psychic power thing. And it's sort of wings and, like, I don't know what's on the bottom half coming off from the back of it. No idea. I'll have to move on. Then we have the Libra line. It's starting off with Escalante. It's a light dark type, the balanced Pokemon, and this Pokemon is always standing straight, and no matter what, it cannot fall to the ground. Some people say this happens thanks to the perfect balance of opposite energies inside it. So building very much on the sort of idea of equilibrium, where everything is equal. Obviously light dark cancel each other out sort of thing, and obviously the two sort of fires burning on its thing, obviously referencing that again, and obviously again the entry there saying it can't fall over, so yeah. Then we have Equilibria. It's a light dark type also, the Libra Pokemon, or Equilibra, sorry, is his name. In this Pokemon, light and dark energies flow together in always in perfect harmony, never mixing. This mystical event allows Equilibra to manipulate other elemental energies like fire and lightning. Now it looks very cool, sort of like it might be a fighting psychic type like Meditite or Medicham, but again we have the fires on its sort of vase things balancing each other out, fire and then ice I guess. And then obviously in its description below we can see that light and dark energies flow together always in perfect harmony, you know, allowing to sort of aid with the sense of being in constant balance sort of thing. So let's move on. So next up we have the Scorpio line, starting off with Corsenicco, the ground poison type. It's the sting Pokemon, and this Pokemon's body possesses a unique camouflage to confuse predators, as its head is located where the sting should go. Now that looks cool actually. You can see on the sting that the eyes are there, sort of thing, but the head's sort of like a dummy head, I guess you could say. So that does make a lot of sense how it would do that. Not a lot of sense, but you know, it's a good sort of trick, I suppose. And obviously, well, there's no scorpions in the Pokemon world, so it's not like you'd go for the head. You wouldn't know, but you know what I guys mean. So yeah, again, looking at the design looks pretty cool. Ground, obviously the stripe on its tail, and then the poison, obviously everything else, since it's a scorpion sort of thing. So then we have its evolution is Cyanorpius, which is a ground poison type. Also, the Scorpio Pokemon, and this Pokemon can bury itself in the sand, digging where its bifurcated legs. Its venomous sting can be pulled back inside its shell. So I guess now the head and the sting have sort of switched places again, and you can see where the sting would sort of go back into its body, I guess. And it's got loads more legs now, which makes it look a lot more like a spider than a scorpion, but that looks pretty cool anyway. And it's got these two huge pincer claws, and its face looks awesome as well, with like 3 horns. So I've got no, qualms with that at all. It looks pretty cool. Then we have the Sagittarius line, starting off with Aaron, a fire steel type, the Arrow Pokemon, and this Pokemon's metallic body has an inner flame that can be shot in the shape of an arrow. So I'm not a huge fan of this design actually. It's too mechanical for me, sort of. But the steel fire typing I like a lot. Then we have Balestier, the fire steel type, also a bow Pokemon, and this machine-like Pokemon is incredibly fast, powered by a flame that burns inside it. This Pokemon can take the form of a weapon and use very devastating moves. So that's what I don't really like. This one's based on a ballista, so I don't like that. I don't really like that at all. Some of you might, but I don't personally, just because it's sort of introducing too much warfare to Pokemon, as you could say. But anyway, looking at the last Pokemon, we have Centagurus, the fire steel type, also the Sagittarius Pokemon, and this Pokemon was used by humans in times of war, as he can take the form of a giant weapon with incredible power. It is also very fast, and they travel in groups. They can form powerful brigades that can't take down many enemies. Its signature move is Roman Scorpion Fire. 100 attack, 90 Roman Scorpion, sorry. It's a fire type, 100 attack, 90 accuracy. This Pokemon shoots a firebolt in the shape of a giant arrow. It will burn on contact. So, yeah, I don't really like it at all. It's too sort of like warfare for me. Pokemon should have some warfare, but not like this. It should be more tame warfare, I guess you could say. I'm not a huge fan of it. Anyway, moving on to the Capricorn line. First off, we have Gota. It's a water type, the kid Pokemon, and this Pokemon likes to play in rivers where it swims to the bottom searching for seaweed to eat. Now, it's a very cute Pokemon, I think. Like the design a lot. Yeah, not much to say, since it's a very basic design. Next up, we have Aquote, a water psychic type. It's a goat Pokemon also, it's the goat Pokemon, sorry. It uses its psychic powers to sense storms, so people tend to use them in the meteorological stations of seaside ports, which is, makes a lot of sense. It's got the orb like many other psychic types, DarkSilvania designs. It's all got a fin on its back as well, related to water types and stuff. Obviously it's blue anyway, so. And yeah, generally I like the idea of using them for weather stuff. Then we have Capricross, a water psychic type also. Capricorn Pokemon, and its psychic powers are strong enough to stop marine storms. They stem from the pearl nestled between its horns. So I guess you could imagine in a Pokemon anime episode, Ash and that could visit a meteorological station and see the Aquote measuring the storms, and then when a huge storm comes in, the Aquote could like freak out, and then the Capricross, you could have a Capricross for the meteorological station or something like that, and he could just come and be like, stop storm, and that would be that. So that's the idea. The Capricross design looks amazing, I think. The orb is now growing bigger and it's between its horns. And yeah, generally it looks like a huge fish that's sort of mixed with a goat or a sort of, I don't know. Yeah, a goat, I guess. Anyway, moving on to the Aquarius line. Starting off with Ampharant, a water rock type. It's the vase snake Pokemon. This Pokemon moves underwater by filling its large tank with water to dive or emptying it to emerge. It can also hide its head inside itself to protect itself from predators. Sorry, I read that wrong. But yeah, it's sort of based on a sort of vase and a snakey sort of thing. It's alright, I guess. It seems to have the fins and stuff on the vase, so I'm guessing the vase is part of itself. It's not just an inanimate object. But yeah, overall I like the design. Then we have Treverius, a water rock type also, the Aquarius Pokemon. And its ability is Fountain of Youth, which is when fighting over water it is immune to status conditions. When raining its stats won't change, and when hit by a water attack its HP is recovered. So that makes, it's a bit of an overpowered ability, but maybe just the first one would be good, but yeah. This Pokemon's body has many empty airbags where water is stored or expelled as a flotation device. When this water is expelled, it pours from the vase-like pipes in its chest, like it would do on a fountain. I guess this one's alright. The vases are things I don't like too much, but they do look alright really, so I'm fine with that in general. So then we have the Pisces line, starting off with Krillil, a light type, and the Luminous Pokemon. This little shrimp-like Pokemon floats near the surface where it absorbs energy from the sun. They can descend to the deeper zones where their bodies shine in the darkness. It looks alright, it's got some sort of orb I guess you would use for the light shining thing. And yeah, generally there's not much to say since it's a little Pokemon. But then we have two more. We have Miralis, light psychic type. The Surface Pisces Pokemon. It evolves from Krillil with max happiness, and Miralis adores sunshine, so they stay in the surface near the light. They can even fly for some periods of time looking to get closer to the sun. Their scales shine when touched by the light, so they are valued among jewelers. So that looks pretty cool. You can see why it'd be at the top of the sort of sea. It looks like a psychic type too with the orb. So yeah, then we're moving on to the last one, which is Grotesquill. Light ghost type. It's the Deep Sea Pisces Pokemon, and it separates from Miralis upon evolution in an empty Pokeball. So sort of like when you evolve Ningadar to Ninjask and there's an empty slot in your party, you get a Shedinja. Grotesquill adore darkness, so they live in the deepest parts of the sea. Nevertheless, they come to surface when the sun goes down. Their ghostly bodies allow them to float over water, guiding their ways by an ethereal shine that stems from them. So again, obviously ghostly. It's got a lot more of it. It's more of a swordfish design to it, I'd say, with a lot more spikes and such on it, and its claws look a lot more menacing as well, I think at least. And it's holding its orb at its back feet, so that might, you know, say something about it. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, overall that design looks good. Here we have the last sign, which is Ophiuchus. I'm not sure what Ophiuchus is, the 13th zodiac sign, but you have to look at that for yourself. We have Ophiuchus, a dark ghost type, the Ophiuchus Pokemon. This Pokemon is said to be a cursed soul who was punished by the gods for defying death. This Pokemon's bite can be deadly, and after death, it is able to bring back the souls of its victims at its side. So, it says here, this is based on Ophiuchus, the Serpentarium or Snake Bearer, who is supposed to be based on the myth of Asclepius, son of Apollo and god of medicine. So, but it's a corruption of the Asclepius myth, yeah. So he does look pretty cool. Sort of hands on its arms, which look awesome. Its face sort of looks like it'd be a Reggie Pokemon from DarkSilvania, sort of Reggie stuff. But yeah, overall I like the design. And looking at all the sort of final evolutions here, you can see just all of them there, not much to say really. Those are the Zodiac Powermon from DarkSilvania. So guys, what do you think of all these Pokemon? I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll be seeing you guys obviously in my other videos, but in a month or just over a month or two, back with this series. As I said, I'm starting a sort of new timetable schedule just to cut down on the amount of videos I upload so you guys can actually watch them all. And then after X and Y hype goes down, I will be just switching around again, so hopefully I'll be able to bring Pokemon FanArt back in at that point. Anyway guys, thank you for watching, I'll be seeing you guys next time, goodbye.